Maybe their dog's eaten a raisin or some chocolate and they're worried in the moment. They don't know what to do. They obviously know that perhaps chocolate is toxic, but they don't know the dose is toxic. So it's giving them that advice on the fly. And hopefully, like I say, we can help pet owners solve it virtually. But if they need to go to the physical vet, we'll absolutely tell them you need to go to your emergency vets. And at least they know that they're doing the right thing. They're getting that peace of mind and reassurance.
Welcome back to the Paws and Effect Podcast. Today we're exploring an evolving area in veterinary medicine, and that's reshaping how our pet care is delivered. Telemedicine. Joining us is Dr. Alex Crowe, the chief vet at the netvet, a leading online telemedicine service and the resident vet for Pooch and Mutt. You may also know him from his entertaining and informative pet content on Instagram as @Alec_the-vet. We're getting an insight into the world of telemedicine, discussing how it supports traditional vet practices by handling non-urgent cases and addressing some of the industry's hottest topics, from burnout to owner education. If you're enjoying these discussions and want to stay updated on the latest in pet care, please subscribe to the podcast. This helps us keep bringing you expert insights to pet owners everywhere. Well, a very warm welcome to Dr. Alex to the Paws and Effect Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's very cool to have you here.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you so much for having me.
So I obviously caught sight of some of the stuff that you're doing on Instagram, which is brilliant, I must say. I was blown away by the information that you're providing and in the way in which you're doing it, which is just so engaging. So well done for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
I'd
love to understand how you got to this point. So, who are you? How did you get to producing the content? What is it that you do sort of as your day job?
Yeah, it all came out of the blue, really. So I qualified as a small animal vet in the UK in 2019. I worked as a small animal vet in a little practice near me for about 4 or 5 years. And then the content creation side of things, it was never in the back of my mind. I'm quite introverted, really, as a personality. So I tried to stay away from that kind of stuff for the most part. But I actually got approached by a dog food brand. And they saw just my personal Instagram account. I hadn't really done any educational content on there at all, but they just thought, oh, he's a vet, he's the look that we want, or whatever they were looking for. They reached out to me and they were just like, are you interested in doing this? And initially, I thought it was a scam initially, actually. I didn't really trust it. But I jumped on a Zoom call with them and, they explained what they wanted and just some real casual content. And that's kind of how it all started, really, was just creating a video every week for this pet food brand on various topics. I was awful when I first started. I had a very poor lighting and plain white background and stuttering a lot in my videos. But obviously, the more you do this kind of thing, and you'll know yourself, Cara, that it becomes a bit more natural to you as well, and you learn to enjoy it ultimately. And I really like being in front of the camera now. So that's kind of where it all started. And now I do a lot of the content creation, for the netvet, for the brand that I work for. It's my main job, really, and sort of promoting them as well as my own personal content.
Incredible. So, it's a great opportunity. Obviously, when we see clients, we have the chance to talk to them one-on-one, but to be able to get a message out to a wider community of pet owners, it's a great way of managing misinformation, debunking myths, and providing advice sort of for people who just wouldn't otherwise have access to it. Is that what drives what you do?
Absolutely. With sort of the advent of social media and obviously the internet before then, it's easier than ever to get hold of information, isn't it? And like you say, rightfully or wrongfully, there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. A lot of people will Dr. Google things and all of this kind of stuff. So, I think it's good to create educational content for owners, in layman's terms, easy to understand terms, coming from experts, with the qualifications, so that they know this is a trusted source of information. They can keep coming back, to get the information that they need. So, that's a massive driver behind it.
Absolutely. And so what have you found in terms of the content that you've created that's really, really resonated? What are the things that perhaps you didn't anticipate would really engage the followers? What can you give us some examples?
I think sort of the shorter, snappy content, definitely. So I've done a bit of sort of longer form YouTube videos in the past as well, and they never really, resonate as well. And I totally understand, everyone's got shorter attention spans these days. I think the simpler, the better, honestly, whether it's about some dog behavior or a common thing that owners will notice in their dogs. They know it's normal for dogs to do it, but they don't actually know why dogs do it. Whether it is a dog shaking their head or sniffing the crotch was the most recent one I did on my own personal account. But then also, more, I suppose, actionable advice, like with fireworks around at the moment in the UK. Lots of dogs are very anxious. So just doing a quick sort of top 5 tips for dogs for firework night, those kind of easily digestible, quick, short form content, less than a minute long sort of stuff has definitely worked the best.
Absolutely. And it's brilliant. I really admire the work
Thank
that
you.
you're doing. But obviously it's not paying the bills, is it? This is not what you generally do in terms of your veterinary work. It's sort of a sideline. You enjoy it, and it's resonating with pet owners. But what is it that you do sort of vet-wise?
So vet-wise, now I work full-time for the netvet. So as the name may or may not suggest, hopefully it does, we're an online vet. So a little bit different to your usual in-person veterinary clinic. We're an online veterinary service. So it's essentially as an app that pet owners can download, and they can contact vets by text or video call instantly, all through this app. So it's really seamless, technology. Any question that they might have for a vet like myself, they can jump on, click one button, and they're connected to a vet. So we're just trying to reduce that barrier basically between pet owners and expert advice, and try and, like I mentioned before, sway away from Dr. Google and misinformation online, and actually just connect pet owners to vets, immediately, so they can just get that advice and know that it's trustworthy, and hopefully affordably as well. It's substantially cheaper than going for an in-person consultation. If we can save pet owners 1 or 2 trips a year, then our service certainly pays for itself. And it's like having a vet that's a friend. That's kind of how we market it, really. A vet in your pocket, like you might WhatsApp or text a vet that you might have as a friend and bug them about pet related issues. You can actually jump on and talk to our vets whenever you want and get that expert advice.
Oh, that's incredible. Very interesting. So how does the app work? Is it a subscription? Do you pay per consult? Take us through how pet owners could access advice from you.
So it's all subscription based. So in UK sort of terms, we're only in the UK at the moment, it's £15 a month or £120 a year. And that's basically all they'll ever pay for unlimited access. So instead of paying per consultation like pet owners might do at a traditional vet, they don't have to pay per consultation. They can, as long as they're paying the monthly subscription and they're joined as a netvet member, they can get immediate access to a vet as often as they like. And any question that they might have, whether it's small, what they might consider silly questions, they notice their dog, doing something weird at night or notice a new lump or something along those lines, all the way up to emergency level stuff where, something's happened. Maybe their dog's eaten a raisin or some chocolate and they're worried in the moment. They don't know what to do. They obviously know that perhaps chocolate is toxic, but they don't know if the dose is toxic. So it's giving them that advice on the fly. And hopefully, like I say, we can help pet owners solve it virtually. But, if they need to go to the physical vet, we'll absolutely tell them you need to go to your emergency vets. And at least they know that they're doing the right thing. They're getting that peace of mind and reassurance.
Very interesting. So how would this vary? Because I've seen online that there are a lot of AI bots that are now offering vet advice. How does this vary to the bot?
Absolutely. Obviously, AI is all the rage, and it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get more prolific and everywhere, and for better or worse, really. But certainly when it comes to veterinary advice, a lot of owners do want to speak to a real vet. They don't want to talk to an AI bot. They can get that online dead easily, but it's not always the most trusted information, actually. And even as a vet, if you fact check a lot of what ChatGPT, for example, says, 99% of it is accurate, but you might get the odd stat or bit of advice that's actually like, oh, as a vet, I don't really trust that. So we very much market ourselves as being real vets. You're talking to a real vet. There's no chatbot involved at all. So you're getting that sort of trusted advice that's more tailored to your animal, because obviously every animal's different, every case is different. It really takes a bit of critical thinking on the part of the vet to be able to assess the animal rather than, just generic advice that an AI bot might provide. But we certainly may use AI sort of in the back end of the app, for data collection. and innovation in that way, and even, helping with diagnostics. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're very much about our pet owners, our members, talking to a real vet.
Hello, I'm Dr. Cara, a veterinarian and the host of the Paws and Effect Podcast. Our show is all about enhancing the lives of pets by providing reliable, science-based advice and engaging in discussions with experts in veterinary medicine, pet nutrition, and animal behavior. As a professional with years of experience in both the UK and South Africa, I run a 24-hour veterinary hospital and an online pet store. I'm also pursuing a master's in animal nutrition and consult for UltraPet, a local veterinary-grade pet food manufacturer. My passion lies in sharing knowledge and helping pet owners make informed decisions about their pet companions. The Paws and Effect podcast is rapidly growing, attracting a dedicated and engaging audience of pet owners who are passionate about their pets' health and well-being. Our listeners trust us for credible, informative content that empowers them to provide the best care for their animals. We are looking for sponsors who share our commitment to pet health and who want to reach a highly engaged and expanding audience. Partnering with us means aligning your brand with trusted and influential content that resonates deeply with pet owners. As a sponsor, you'll benefit from high visibility on a platform that is used for multiple purposes, including educational content, product recommendations, and community building. We offer various sponsorship packages designed to fit your marketing goals and budget, ensuring that your brand gets the reach and the impact it deserves. Join us in making a difference in the lives of pets and their families. Let's work together to bring valuable insights and quality products to our passionate audience. If you're interested in sponsoring the Paws and Effect podcast, please get in touch. I look forward to partnering with you. Before we resume our conversation, let's address a vital aspect to pet care, your puppy's nutrition. Allow me to introduce you to a personal favorite, UltraPet's premium recipe for large breed puppies. I've relied on this for all my dogs, and it's truly made a difference. This puppy food offers a balanced blend of nutrients, with 30% protein, 15% fat, and 4% fiber, supporting your companion's growth and development. Featuring a delectable chicken and rice flavor, UltraPet caters for even the pickiest eaters. It's available in 2 pack sizes, a 8 kg and a 20 kg, and it's suitable for households of any size. What sets this puppy food apart is its meticulous formulation, developed by experts for a complete and balanced diet. It includes essential vitamins and minerals and prebiotics for a healthy digestive system and a robust immune system. With high-quality protein sources and essential fatty acids, this food promotes muscle development, healthy skin and coat. Plus calcium and phosphorus strengthen bones and teeth. UltraPet has mastered the balance between nutrition and taste, making it a top choice for puppy food. Find it at your local pet store and give it to your companion for the best start. Your pet will thank you, and you'll appreciate UltraPet's commitment to optimal nutrition. Now, let's get back to our conversation. And obviously, vet to vet, how do you weed out those owners who just harass you all the time for for questions that maybe you feel are not valid? I mean, do you end up with people who just want to be your friend, or are these genuine pet owners who are trying to access information?
It's a very good question, actually. Yeah, and the vast majority of owners, don't do that. But as you all know from a vet, even in physical practice, you do get the odd client that very much takes up more time than they'd otherwise be allocated, if you like. And generally, it's not a problem as long as you're providing them with advice and there's a real issue there. Then absolutely, we're more than happy to help. And I think that's one of the benefits to the app is that actually those owners, they can keep bugging us for the most part. And yes, it may take up more of our time, but ultimately that's what we're there for. If we can provide them with that peace of mind and even change their mindset over time, allow them to relax and maybe not be quite as paranoid as they might be otherwise, because they feel like, well, I've got a vet on hand. If anything goes wrong, I can reach out to them. It might have the opposite effect in reducing those questions, I suppose. So yeah, for the most part, it's not too much of an issue. But obviously, you do get the odd owner that may want to use it as a socialization tool, I suppose, which generally we're absolutely fine with. We can handle that workload at the moment.
Okay. And in terms of legalities and things, obviously I spent the first 4 years I qualified in Edinburgh, and then I
Yes.
ended up in London many moons ago. But still, when I was working there, you would be on call, and the first thing you would do is open up the book to keep notes associated with the advice that you were given. Just
Yes.
in the event that something happens, and the last thing you want is to have a case of litigation and not have the sort of access to the information at hand or the advice that you gave.
Yeah.
So how does the app work in terms of, does it record the videos? I mean, obviously, in terms of messaging, it probably keeps a log of that. So how are the online videos and the conversations managed?
So the conversations, all the chat transcripts and logged, all recorded on the back end. So we can always access those at any time. You can see what the conversation has been had between the pet owner and the vet at any time. And also, whenever a vet completes a consultation, they have to provide clinical notes as well. So very similar to an in-person consultation, you'll examine, you'll talk to the owner, you'll get a history, you'll diagnose, even prescribe some medication. Obviously, you make a note of absolutely everything that you've done, so that one, the legal side is covered, and two, the next vet that might pick up the case knows exactly what you've done as well. So we keep all of that on the back end as well, so we can access that at any one time. If a vet practice requires a history, if we need to send a pet to a physical practice, we can get all of those notes, get them on an email, and send them over with the patient. So absolutely, we want to make sure we're on the right side of the RCVS in the UK. And obviously, it's in the animal's best interest as well to keep all of those notes.
Absolutely. And in terms of insurance, are any of your consultations covered by insurance policies?
Then it's a very good question, actually. I suppose it depends on the individual insurance companies at the moment. Generally not, I think, because it's a recurring subscription model. So I think if it was a pay per consultation, then yes, people might be able to claim it back on their insurance. Obviously, it's quite a new thing. A lot of insurance companies do have their own video vet service as well. So I don't think they would pay for another service if they've included their own. There's probably something in their fine print there. So generally not, but hopefully at £15 a month, or even as little as £10 a month if you're paying yearly, we hope the value for money is there, and people can afford it, and they're getting really good value for money. And at the end of the day, if we can save them having to claim on their insurance and their premiums going up and whatnot, then it's very cost beneficial in the long run.
Absolutely, that's a really good point. So let's talk about the concern for me as a practicing sort of in-person vet.
Yeah.
How are the practices responding to the telemedicine sort of approach? Because I can imagine that a few vet practices have felt quite threatened and are concerned that they're going to lose their clients to something that's maybe far more affordable or more available or accessible.
Yeah.
How are you tackling that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's mixed kind of feedback from the point of view of other vets and vet practices. Some are fully behind it and they embrace it and they want to know how we can work together. But absolutely, quite a lot of vets are understandably a little bit apprehensive about it. And like you say, from a business point of view, they don't want to find that their consultations are being taken away from them. But we're very much about supporting the vet practice. We're very clear that we're not there to replace a physical vet practice. We still very much recommend that all of our owners are registered with a physical vet near them. Obviously, there are certain cases that do need to see a physical vet, so we're very much for all of that. And ultimately, if we can save people a bit of money having to go to their vet practice, fantastic. But also, people that may not have gone to their physical vets otherwise, if they talk to us and we give them the reassurance that actually, yes, I probably would recommend, going for a blood test, or you need, have something more physical done, or even a surgery, then we're sort of converting them to a case at the physical practice. So it works hand in hand in that way. Absolutely. I think it's just communicating that with the physical practices. And also, obviously, we can take the workload off them quite efficiently as well. A lot of vet practices are understaffed. A lot of vets are overworked. That work-life balance is really hard to achieve, especially as, a physical vet in practice. If we can take hold and handle quite a lot of those, more menial questions, if you like, less emergency, more routine cases, if we can handle a lot of them through the app, even if it's things like follow-up appointments, then ultimately we're freeing up their vet's time to concentrate on the more complex cases, and from a business point of view, the cases that bring them in more money at the end of the day. So we're all about working hand in hand with physical practices.
That's a good point. And so when you are discussing a case, and I'm talking from the experience of during COVID, obviously we were given the opportunity to offer online consultations through an app, similar app, possibly. And firstly, we found our owners quite hesitant. And secondly, probably because we were so used to offering in-person consultations, we felt quite limited because we were unable to do that clinical examination.
Sure.
How do you ask owners to assist you with getting the information that's required? Obviously, you can take a history, but how do you get that practical information? I mean, you can't put your hands on your patient when you're doing. What kind of information do you try and gather from your pet owners?
Yeah, it's a very fair question. Obviously, it's one of the big apprehensions from a vet's point of view and from an owner's point of view that, don't you need to be hands-on with an animal to get that information? And yes, obviously, in some cases, that's true. Not in all cases, especially around sort of preventative medicine or sort of more chronic condition management or just ongoing advice. You don't always have to be hands-on with an animal. But actually, we're all about educating owners and teaching them how to assess their animal as well. And there's a lot that owners can do at home in terms of, examining their animal and looking at clinical signs and, whether it's taking a heart rate, taking respiratory rates, checking an animal's gums or teeth. These are all things that ultimately, with the right education and right sort of support, a pet owner can do. And they don't have to interpret the information. They don't have to diagnose from the information. All they have to do is pass that on to us as the vets online. And then we can use that information as we would have done, examining the animal ourselves, and then come up with a plan from that point onwards. So, and that's quite rewarding from the owner's point of view as well. They feel like they're more hands-on, they're getting more involved with their animal, they're learning something in the process. It also allows them to be, we very much encourage owners to be checking their pets' heart rates, respiratory rates, teeth, gum colour, capillary refill time, all of these things regularly, so that they know what's normal for their dog, and they'll ultimately pick up on issues sooner than they would have done, if they weren't aware that all of these things can be checked for. So that's sort of the way around it, I suppose. But a lot of, obviously, some cases, you do need to see a physical vet, absolutely, and you need to have the vet, get hands-on with the patient. But I think we've estimated, and there's other sort of data online that backs this up, that at least 60 to 70% of consultations can be handled remotely. You don't always have to be hands-on with an animal. You may know yourself, Cara, being a vet, you get a lot of clients in, whether it's for follow-up checks or, small questions, let's say, that they can be handled, virtually just through a conversation. You don't necessarily have to have the hands on the animal in that moment to make a decision as to where to go next.
And how many of your pet owners have thermometers at home and are prepared to take a temperature? As a side question, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a learning process. Certainly, it's probably a confidence thing more than anything. But a lot of owners are prepared to do it. They don't even blink twice. To be fair, they'll take their own thermometer, maybe not in the same way that we do with pets, but they'll take their own temperature rather. But you talk them through it. You say that obviously taking a rectal thermometer, putting it up the bottom of your dog, if they're tolerant of it. Obviously, if you're comfortable, you don't want to be stressing your dog out. It very much depends on your or cat, your individual pet's demeanor. But absolutely, a lot of them are well up for it. It's giving us as the vet more information, and ultimately, if it leads to a better outcome for their pet, then they're more than happy to do it.
Absolutely. And in terms of the times when you have got emergencies, how do you tackle those? Is that just a case of referring them to their regular vets? Is that something that the service actually aids with, is saying this is an emergency and this needs to be addressed as a priority?
Yeah, absolutely. So emergency cases, we're all about getting them to the best care for the animal ultimately. And obviously in emergencies, that's usually getting them to a physical vet, emergency vet, as soon as possible. But we're very helpful in providing that initial triage service, ascertaining whether it is an emergency in the first place. So like the example I gave earlier of a dog eating chocolate, we can see how much their dog weighs, what type of chocolate they've eaten, work out the toxic dose. And, we can do all of that very quickly, to be honest, even while they're on the way to the emergency vets. And we can give them the peace of mind that, okay, maybe it's fine. The dog's only eaten a tiny amount of chocolate, monitor for these symptoms. Or obviously on the flip side, no, this is a concern, this is an emergency, you need to take your pet to the vet straight away. They've got the reassurance that they're doing the right thing, they're not wasting their time or money. And, ultimately, we're not making any extra money from them staying on the app. We're not benefiting from that point of view as vets or as a service. Ultimately, we want what's best for the animals. So we're all about sending pets to physical vets when necessary.
And why the telemedicine? What is it that led you to wanting to offer this service?
Yeah, I think things are going that way. Certainly in human health, you get a lot of online GPs, and they can prescribe medication, and a lot of assessments can be done online. Obviously, that's in the UK. The NHS is quite overworked as it is. That's taking a lot of strain off the NHS by providing those sort of services, and things are naturally going that way in veterinary medicine. So I suppose from a personal point of view, it's about being at the forefront of that, really. The innovation, a bit of a culture change really with pet owners, in that giving them more options, more access to veterinary advice. It's exciting, and from the point of view of a startup, a new business, a new company, going into this earlier this year, we're getting more and more established. We're providing more and more services to our clients. It's exciting to see that grow and be a big part of that growing, and seeing the feedback from owners. They're very happy. They're getting really good value from the service. They really like the idea of it. It's just really encouraging to help animals in a different way, I suppose, than a traditional vet.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of work-life balance, is this something that you've seen that is more sustainable in terms of you as a veterinarian, knowing that actually we're all very aware that practicing as a vet historically was led to burnout, as you mentioned, and put a lot of strain on families, and ultimately a lot of people talking about, really, did I go into the right career?
Yeah.
Are you finding that this is more sustainable for you?
Definitely. It's more balanced for sure, and I think it's an option for all vets out there. It's not necessarily full time like I do it. I feel like I have a great work-life balance at the moment. Being able to work from home, even being sort of on the road traveling. As long as I've got an internet connection on my phone and I'm active on the app, ready to answer questions from pet owners, then that freedom is fantastic from a vet's point of view. Not having to be tied to one practice, one area. Working constantly in one building, it gives a lot of freedom. And I think just from any vet's point of view, mixing this kind of different work style with their physical practice side of things, whether they're doing their physical vet job a few days a week and then the telemedicine job a few days a week, or picking up a few shifts here and there, it allows them to still earn a good income but have that more balanced work life. That's a big part of it, really, is taking that stress off of physical vets and just allowing the whole veterinary industry to flourish and improve in that way.
Absolutely. And in terms of the vets on this service, who can you speak to someone specifically? So if I had a consultation with you and I wanted to chat to you again, is that something that owners can request a particular vet and say, look, I'd like a follow up with my regular vet, essentially?
Yeah.
Or is this whoever's available at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. So continuity is a big part of the service, and that's something that is harder and harder to achieve, certainly in the veterinary industry in general these days. Obviously, it makes more sense to talk to a vet that knows your animal, knows their conditions, their case. They can pick it up much quicker. You're not going around in circles. You're not starting from ground one, again, having to, as an owner, that can be quite frustrating. So absolutely. The way that the app works is whenever a pet owner has a question, they press a button, says speak to a vet. And then on the vet side, that comes through as a request. So the vets can then choose individually which cases they pick up, if you like. It's almost like a waiting room, in a physical practice. They will see that, Tilly's in today. I know Tilly well. I dealt with Tilly last time. I'll pick Tilly up. And then they get that continuity that way. If an owner really wants to just deal with one vet, absolutely, sort of 90% of the time that's going to be possible. If that vet's online, they'll be able to continue with that patient.
So how many vets have you currently got on the app?
So I'm the only full-time vet at the moment, but we have about a team of 7 or 8 vets that do sort of shift locum work with us. So they'll jump on and off the app whenever we need them to, whether it's to cover me or whenever workloads are a little bit higher, sort of during holiday hours, for example. we have that flexibility, which is quite nice. And obviously, as we grow and get more of a member base, we'll be hiring more full-time vets on the app to make sure that our sort of quality of care and instant response times are kept, to that high level.
And is this something people can access any time of day? What are the limitations in terms of what your current offering is?
Yeah, so we're not 24-hour yet, but we will be very soon. So within the coming months, we're going to be 24/7. At the moment, we're 7 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. So really, it's covering most of the hours that people would need us. Especially on weekends as well, when their vet practice might not be open, or that later evening, up to 10 o'clock when they might notice something wrong with their vet practice is closed. That's when we can step in and give them that value. But like I say, 24-hour is coming. We like to hope that if something's, as a pet owner, if something concerning with your pet is waking you up in the middle of the night, it's going to be enough for you to get to a physical vet. If it's keeping you awake and you're that worried about it, then you probably want to go straight to your physical vet, as an emergency. But absolutely, we're working towards giving that round-the-clock service.
That's fantastic. And if people want to get hold of you or join the app, how do they find you?
So you can find us on social media. You can find us on our website. So it's the netvet.co.uk. We're on the App Store, we're on the Android store. All you have to do is search the NetVet and you'll be able to find us dead easily. It's free to download the app as well. So you can keep the app on your phone. You can set up a patient profile. You can add your photos, all of your pet's details, their weight, their breed, etc. And then as and when you need it, you can join up with the app, pay your monthly subscription, then you've got that immediate access to a vet. And obviously we hope that clients stay subscribed. There's lots of benefits to staying subscribed, whether it's getting free prescriptions for medication or, that ongoing support or educational content as well. They're all reasons to sort of stay a NetVet member.
That's very valid. I forgot that obviously in the UK you can prescribe, whereas in South Africa we are not able to do that yet,
Yes.
unless they're going to a pharmacy. We don't have that set up. So that's actually a really valid point in that you can prescribe and then owners can get their medication through an online pharmacy or an in-person. Is that an option?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in the process actually of setting up our own kind of e-commerce shop, if you like, through the app as well. So that'll allow us to have kind of a dedicated list of medications, pet food, diets, even non-prescription items, whether it's ear cleaners, toothbrushes, toothpastes, things that we can say are recommended and, approved by our vets. Our NetVet members can then jump on the shop and buy them directly from us. And obviously, if we're doing a written prescription for a certain medication, they can just buy it directly from us. But yeah, absolutely. If they wanted to take it to another online pharmacy or a physical vet practice, they can pick up that medication wherever suitable for them.
That's incredible. Really, really practical. And if people want to follow your entertaining and informative content on Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the NetVet, Instagram page. So just search for the NetVet, you'll find us on there. So making content, 1 or 2 videos a week, sort of educational content. I've got my own channel where I'm doing some more entertaining type content and often collaborating with the NetVet on there as well. We've got the NetVet website. We've got our email subscription list as well. So we're providing a lot of free educational content through their kind of weekly videos. Like we sent one out recently on Bonfire Night, fireworks and advice for pet owners through there. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere really. If you just search for the NetVet, you'll be able to follow us on all the socials.
That's incredible. I really love the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time out of what seems like a pretty hectic schedule. Congratulations on taking the leap into telemedicine. I think definitely having the conversation, it's given me a bit of an insight into sort of the future of what you can offer, and sort of relayed some of potentially my concerns about it. So
absolutely.
I think, I urge people to check it out. And what's better than having a real life vet rather than AI bot or GPT,
Google,
as you mentioned before.
Yeah,
Dr. Google.
That's the plan.
It's a really great service that you're offering. So congratulations.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for having me, Dr.
Time to chat to me.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Lovely to meet you.
Pleasure. And you, all the best for the future. I'll keep an eye on what you're doing.
Lovely. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode on the Paws and Effect podcast. If you found the discussion helpful, please like, share, and follow our podcasts. Don't forget to leave us a comment or review. We love hearing from our listeners. Remember, you can listen to us on your preferred podcast platform. Welcome back to Just for Pets. You're with Dr. Cara.
Hello, Doctor. It's Chanel the Persian. And, I can't seem to stop retching to get this hairball up.
Are you on a special diet?
Excuse me?
Hairball control food will really help. And maybe some Laxapet. And lucky for you, Just for Pets have a big range.
Well, how early can I get some?
Order today and we'll deliver pronto.
Wow, I feel better already.
Justforpets.co.za. Vet approved, pet adored. Get it all to your door.